So this morning we are going to walk through how to manage multiple offers in DocuSign and Command. Also some other features within DocuSign that you could take advantage of, kind of like a DocuSign 2.0. As I'm going through the training this morning, let me know what questions you have. I want to make sure that you walk away from this feeling a lot more excited and comfortable using DocuSign and Command. So I'm going to get started in Command. So I have my opportunity and we'll get started with the listing. So I'm just going to use the opportunity that I had created for Friday mornings, this past Friday morning's training. So I'm just going to go to my opportunity here in Command. I'm going to go to all opportunities, come over here to my 1234 Main Street, go to documents, and then I could click go to transaction, and that would take me into DocuSign. However, since I've already created this room in DocuSign, I don't technically have to go through Command to get to DocuSign. And I know that in the DocuSign training, I really focus on making sure you click that start a transaction button. Yes, you have to click that start a transaction button to make sure that the room in DocuSign and the Command opportunity are linked. But once they're already created and linked, you don't have to go through Command. You can log into DocuSign directly through DocuSign. So I'm going to do that just so I can show you. So I'm going to open up a new browser window. And I'm going to go to rooms.docusign.com. Click continue and log in. And the reason I go to rooms.docusign.com is because it just kind of saves me an extra step of getting to the room side. You can log into docusign.com and that will log you into the e-signature side of the platform. And then you'd have to come up here to the right-hand corner, click on your initials or your picture, and then click on switch to rooms. Right now it says click to e-signature. You want to make sure that you are in the room side.
So Nick, you're saying that once you start that transaction thing on the right, we don't have to go through Command again. We can just do rooms.docusign.com and go straight in that way.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's going to save you some time because you don't need to go through all those clicks through Command, and then you should be fine. Okay. Saves you some time. So I'm going to go into my room that I created last Friday. So here we have my 1234 Main Street. I have my documents. I have all these forms that I filled out before. And I come down here and here's my purchase and sale agreement. Now, let's say that I receive, so I'm the listing agent this morning. So let's say I received multiple offer or went under contract and it terminated. What I would do is I would come through and I would see this green version, the green checkmark version of the purchase and sale. I would take that and I would archive it and click archive. Now I'm going to make sure that I leave, I'm going to scroll back down, this version that says form that has the blue icon in the bottom right-hand corner. It's very important that in DocuSign you keep all of the forms that are titled form. And the reason is because the way that DocuSign is set up is that you can only add a form one time to a room. And the way that DocuSign wants you to use that form is almost like a template. So I would just start using this form again and I would update it. So let's say, I know this is going to be a little untraditional for how a transaction would actually work from a listing side. But let's say we terminated that offer. I got a new one, come to details. I would recommend coming up here and click edit and go ahead and update the information here. Offer date. So I can put in my offer date here. Let's do 125. And they put an offer of 402, 500. Earnest money, they're going to do 3,500. Hold of earnest money. Perfect. I'm not going to put in all these dates. Expected closing date, we'll do 26th. All right. All right, so we have all this information here that I go ahead and I would recommend you update. Then you can come down here.
Excuse me, Nick.
Yeah.
This is very lockstep in the sense that I get an offer, a reject offer, I get another offer, and move forward with that one. we're going to talk about it. Like, how do you manage the room when you have 3 offers at one time?
So if you're the listing agent, how do you have 3 offers at once? How do you manage that?
Yeah, if a room will only allow one form, the form has to have the most current information, but you've got 3 people. To me, that seems like 3 rooms.
So no, it wouldn't be 3 rooms. So if you're the listing agent, actually, can I pause on your question so I can finish this? And then once I get back into the documents tab, then we can kind of walk through that.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to finish updating the details tab because I think it's just best to go ahead and do that. We have buyer agent, and we can do this. We can do Ansley, Atlanta, and we can do John Smith, email johnsmith@ansley.com. I don't know. I'm just making that up. So I've updated that information. So I'm going to click save. I'm going to come back to my documents tab. And I could come down here to my purchase and sale agreement, and it will have updated with that information from the details tab. So anytime you get a new offer or anytime you're writing a new offer, oh, it looks like it didn't update everything here correctly. So seller's contribution and closing cost, oh, 5,000. I didn't update that. So let's do 2,500.
Can I interrupt you again, Nick?
Yes.
You went straight into details. Being a neophyte in DocuSign, I pretty much went into survival mode, and I added the information straight into the form. I think it saved it into the details from the form.
That is correct. So
because it kept popping up again.
Yeah. So anytime, I recommend that you update in the details to begin with, because it's just going to save you a little bit of time. But anytime that you update a linked or mapped field in one of the documents, it will make that update in the details tab and then pre-populate those same fields in all of your subsequent documents.
Perfect. Thank you. I was like like Diana, I was like survival. So I was just trying to get something on a form, and I was like, oh, it kept repeating. Thank you.
So here you can see it updated the purchase price. And I would just go through here and, make sure everything else is correct, make any changes, updated Ansley, Keller Williams First Atlanta. I would update the time limit of offer. I would just go through here and, make these changes. So we'll do time limit of offer of, 127. And I would just use this same form throughout however many times I need to update a purchase and sale agreement. I can do steps, come down, scroll down.
You would use that same form over and over. You said leave your forms, don't delete those, because you leave those blue forms the way they are.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and then I could come down here, I could finish filling in John Smith's information, look that up in FMLS, and then click save and close. So that's kind of what we just did was kind of like half listing agent side, half buyer's agent side, because traditionally, if you're the listing agent, you're going to be the one that's going to be more than likely going to be receiving the purchase and sale agreements, at which point you would have PDFs that you could then upload into into DocuSign. So I could come here, click add, go to my computer, and let me just pull up one really fast. Clients, sellers, all right, contract, earnest money, description. Here we go. So I would just upload this purchase and sale agreement. So it'd be a PDF. And I wouldn't be able to make any changes here. So this is an actual contract. So then if we wanted to go binding, I would add this to an envelope, create envelope, and then I could go add the signature fields, or I could come up here, go to my DocuSign forms, and then I could pull up my counter offer form right here and add that. And then I could make a counter offer. And there would be my original the buyer's original purchase and sale agreement. So Tim, back to your question of what if you receive multiple, so if you're the listing agent and you receive multiple offers, what do you do? Well, I would kind of stay out of DocuSign until you're ready to move forward with a document that you need to sign. So this is just a personal recommendation, but I would organize those purchase and sale agreements that you've received on your desktop, review them there with your clients, and then based on the conversations you have with them, you can then ask for best and final, or you can counter one of them, or you can go binding on one of them, at which point when you're ready to counter or go binding, then you could upload that document into DocuSign and then add the signature fields or put together the counter offer form. But
yeah, that's a good idea.
I would recommend just like stay out of DocuSign if you do not need a signature right away.
No, that's a great idea. I was overcomplicating.
Yeah, and I understand the thought process of this is where we manage all of our documents. Yeah, there's no need to create extra work for yourself if you don't have to.
So my question goes back to something you said at the beginning. You had a contract down there and you said they terminated, so you archived it.
Yeah, I archived the green check mark version, the signed version. See how there's a green check mark icon here? And then over here, there's a blue form logo. Right. Only archive green check marks that say signed or red ones that say PDF.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Because I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. So when you're saying they terminated, so let's say I had a contract and we did a T&R.
Yep.
So when that T&R, Betty, they terminated, do I need to move all of those files together somewhere for Lynn's sake, or how does that work with an opportunity? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep. So that is a great question, Diana. So let's say now we have all of our documents, we terminated, but I've already uploaded everything for compliance review. I can come back here into my documents, into command, into my documents tab. So let me just quickly add a purchase and sale just super fast. Just so we have something here.
And the reason I'm asking, because you brought up the termination, and I'm trying to understand where I put that.
Yeah. Here we go. So here we have my purchase and sale. And then if we're going to terminate, here we have our unilateral termination and notice. So I'm just going to add a pretend document for our termination here. So I'm just going to pretend that this document is our T&R. So here we have our purchase and sale. We have our termination letter. You don't need to create a new opportunity. Here in the toolbar right here, it says under contract. You can, click on this drop down arrow and it gives us the ability to add a version. So what I can do is I can click add version and I can make this under contract version 2, create new version. And now it's going to give me a whole blank list of all these documents and that I can now upload.
Okay, so version 2 is when Mike comes along and puts an offer in it. Betty terminated.
Yeah, so, and I can go back, I can click on this down arrow and I can go to under contract, which is version 1, and here's Betty's offer.
Got it.
And then I can come back here to version 2 that I just created, and then here would be Mike's offer.
Okay. And so then in DocuSign, you archived those documents that they signed that had been terminated, but you don't mess with this opportunity necessarily. It's just the documents. Okay.
Or, so you do have the ability, so I could go through here and I can say, okay, these are all these signed documents that were for Betty's offer. I can select, did I mean to open that? I could select them all and I could come up here and I could archive them.
Okay.
Which is option number 1. Or, and this depends on how you like to organize your stuff, you can click actions and you could add a folder and I could say terminated Betty, and I can create that.
Okay.
And then I could just move all of those documents
Got it.
into that folder. Click move, folder, terminated Betty.
Because if you move them to archive, they're just going out there in the sandbox with everything else that's archived. It's not filed by opportunity. It's just in the sandbox with everything else, correct?
So are you talking in DocuSign?
Yeah, when you said you archived something, like they terminated at the beginning, and so you archived it. So if you archive it, it just goes in the sandbox with everything else, not necessarily archived to this file. Does that make sense?
No, yeah. So I think I understand your question. So that is incorrect in that everything that you have in this room will stay within this room. So it's going to,
Okay.
each room is its own sandbox.
Okay.
Nick, I'm sorry, Nick, I actually have the same question because I was thinking, I've never used the archive because I figured it was a big black hole of archived documents. So can you show us an archived, just for kicks and grins, show us the archive for that room and archive for another room maybe?
Yep. So I'm in my current room in DocuSign. I'm in my documents tab. Here, right at the top of the gray area, it says active documents with the drop-down menu. I can have the ability to look at all documents, would be active and archived, or I can click on archived documents. And then it's going to show me just the archived documents for this room.
Can I reactivate an archived document?
Yep. So you can click on it and then unarchive.
Okay.
And now it becomes an active document. And I can come back here, click active documents. And now that's been added back to that folder. Whichever, I think, was it this purchase and sale agreement right here. So your archive documents will be unique to each room.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can just click back and forth in them here. Any questions, any clarification on managing multiple offers, archiving, creating new versions in Command?
So you can, so like if you have like a really popular house.
Yep.
Like everything is now. And, you know, I've had one where you may have 3 backup, you know, you just put them under contract, terminated, but, you know, 3 offers on the same house, moving on. That would just be the original, version 2, version 3, all in the same opportunity, but you just keep changing the name.
Yep. So you just create a new version. So I just come here, click add version, and then version 3, create new version, and I'd upload all those documents. Now, one thing you do need to remember to do is that every time you create a new version, once you've uploaded those documents, you have to click on submit to MC. You have to resubmit this under contract folder to Lynn and Alita for compliance review.
Okay, so when you said under contract version 3, can you change that under contract version 3 from Nick Kerr? Because I like to do it with the agent's name, so I know it kind of helps me some. Can you alter the name some?
I don't think so. I don't. Once I've already created the version, I can't. But if you click on the add version, I could click under contract and I could rename it.
You can add it. Okay.
Yeah, I could just make that my name.
Okay.
And now I have technically under contract version 4. But yeah.
Okay.
But once you've already created that that version, you can't rename it.
Got it.
So any additional questions about what we've talked through so far before I show you something, the how to email yourself documents?
Nope.
All right. So they're in DocuSign. Each room has its own unique ID number. And with that ID number, you have the ability to email yourself documents. So let's say you are out and about and you don't have the ability to download that document and then upload it. You can just forward it, let's say from the co-op agent into your room. It just saves some time. And I point this out because I know a lot of people really enjoy this feature in .loop. So I want to let people know that they have the ability to do that. So to find your email address that you would use for your DocuSign email, if you click on the top right-hand corner on your initials or your image, and then scroll down to preferences. And then over here on the left-hand side, we have inbox details. If you click on that, up at the top here, we have our inbound email, and it's probably going to default to whatever some email address. You do have the ability to change it. So I could have mine just be nicholascore@mail.docusign.net. I could make this to nicksellsatlanta@mail.docusign.com. It's fine. Now, it doesn't really matter because this is not going to be an email address I share with anyone. It's really just going to be for my own personal use. So I'm going to click Save Changes. Was there a question?
Now, you would use this, why? Explain that. I'm sorry. If I'm doing a deal with you and you need copies of everything, I would use this?
No, so you would use this to email documents directly into your room. So let's say, Diana, you and I are working on a transaction together and I send you over an amendment to address concerns. And you're like, all right, thank you for sending this. We'll go ahead and we'll sign it and I'll get it to you ASAP. You can just click on forward and then put in this email address and it would automatically upload that document into your room.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, but you have to, get your email address here first.
Got it.
Maybe Diana, I had a client last week. I sent them DocuSign documents, but they wanted them all in their email also. So they actually wanted to forward it to a husband so he could print it and look at it on the side without it being in the DocuSign folder. They were actually having they weren't able to print from the DocuSign document that went to them.
That's
and they
correct.
were printed out. So Nick, can they print from the DocuSign?
No, but that's a little bit different than what we're talking about here. But I can show you. Okay. I can show you, Tim, how you would get those documents to them as PDFs versus sending them in the signature platform.
I sent them. No, I did. Going to Diana's thing, talking about email. I know how to email them from DocuSign. So I did email them to them from DocuSign. But after a while, it became very muddy because they had emailed versions and then they had DocuSign versions. And then they started getting confused. And I was like, oh, well.
Oh, well. So in your preferences, this is your inbox, your inbound email. You can also come up here to inbox, this tab at the top. And here's your email address right here in the top left-hand corner. So I'm just going to copy that. And I'm going to open up a new browser window for my email. I'm just going to write myself an email. I'll click here. So here's that email, nicholascore@mail.docusign.com. I'm going to come back into that room. So I'm going to click on dashboards and then I'm going to come into 1234 Main Street and see this ID number up here. I'm going to copy this. So I have that. I'm going to paste that into my subject line. And then I'm going to attach my document. So I'm just going to attach, all right, so we have our seller's property description. I'm going to click open. So I'm going to attach that to the email. Then I'm going to click send. And by putting that ID number in the subject line, it lets DocuSign know which room that needs to go into. So I'm going to click on documents. Let's scroll down and see if it uploaded. Room docs. It doesn't look like it has done it just yet. So let me click refresh. It may take a minute. All right, we'll give it a second.
So you use this feature instead of having to download everything from an offer into your files and then attach each one individually. So by putting that ID number, this will just load them into your into this room for you.
Yep. So yeah. So let's say, Diana, you're the listing agent and a buyer's agent just sent you over an offer and you're like, all right, your clients are good with it. They're like, okay, listen, we've been on the market for 2 months. This is not a bad offer. Let's just go ahead and sign it and move forward. You could literally click forward on that email, put in that ID number in the subject line, and then just forward it to you. And it's going to load all of those documents into your room.
Wow.
Let me just.
That's a huge time saver.
Yeah. So here we go. Now just uploaded here. We have our 91 Moreland Avenue seller's property disclosure. So it just put it right there in the room for me. So it's just a nice time saver. especially if you have a lot of documents, some transactions may have a lot of disclosures, you have surveys, all sorts of stuff. That's just going to make it simple for you to get lots of documents uploaded at once without having to go through and add each one manually.
The thing about that, Diana, and I haven't gotten to the point in my career where I'm so busy that I can't, but I am very, very paranoid. And I do like to download them to my hard drive. And I'm okay with them going into DocuSign, but I just like having them in multiple places. You know what? It's like they're not especially organized, but I know that they're in many different places. And if I'm ever in a crisis, I'll be able to find them. Because one thing that happened to me this weekend is I was out of town trying to negotiate a deal and I lost all internet. And internet was down for 4 hours. I actually ended up at a neighbor's house. They actually have 6 children, by the way. Because it's on my hard drive, I could access it. You can't get to it through DocuSign because it's an internet access platform. So that's, for me being paranoid, that made me more comfortable because I could get it in a crisis.
Yep. And that's really smart to make sure. And I would recommend, even if you have it on your hard drive, make sure you have everything in DocuSign. But really at the end of the day, let me just go back into Command real fast. These folders are basically supposed to be a place for you to have all of the documents related to that transaction. So in 3 years, when my clients, Tony Stark reaches out to me and they're like, oh, hey, we have a question. Boom, I could come right here. And, let's say I got a new computer and my computer crashed and I lost everything on my hard drive, I had them all right here too.
Yep. So I use them as sorry to interrupt you, but I do both because I look at Command/DocuSign as a backup to my hard drive and my hard drive is a backup to DocuSign/Command.
That's a great way to think about it. And you're going to probably save yourself a lot of heartache in the future, just like you did this past weekend. So any questions on anything that we talked through this morning? I mean, it's pretty quick training. Is there anything that I didn't show you that you wanted to see? We still have technically 30 minutes. So if you have any questions or anything, I'm happy to show you.
But I have another DocuSign question.
Yep.
I was preparing a listing this past weekend.
Yep.
And for some reason, I don't know why, my exhibits. So I wanted to have my my CMA, my community association disclosure, my CAD, and my property disclosure included in the listing agreement. It assigned, when I labeled the CAD as Exhibit A, it forced the property disclosure to be Exhibit A. And no matter what I did, could I ever stop that from happening?
So
different envelopes.
So Tim, 2 things on that. First, that is not user error. That is a DocuSign error. So when the DocuSign team was going through and mapping out all of the fields for the 2021 documents, they don't understand how we use those documents. So they like, oh, this is an exhibit field and this is an exhibit field. They're probably the same. So we can just map them all to be the same. So that's why when one said A, you made it A, then they all became A. What I would recommend doing for that is next time, don't put an exhibit letter on an exhibit or an amendment number. Just wait until you're in the envelope and then you can add a text box there, and that's going to help you get around that frustrating mapping feature. I have submitted support tickets. The regional tech director has let them know as well that those fields need to be updated. So that is in the pipeline to get fixed.
Yeah, it should be fixed. It actually, I'd say I spent over 2 to 3 hours trying to get that rectified. My customer client was actually reaching out to me saying, the exhibit numbers are wrong. I'm like, I didn't even catch it until I was like, and then I had to void my envelopes, start all over again. It ended up being a little messy, but it makes me feel better because I thought I was a complete idiot.
Nope, you are not an idiot at all. And Tim, I do want to let you know that, on the weekends, I try my best to kind of not spend too much time on the computer since I'm on it all day, every day for work. Give me a call. Give me a call or text message and be like, I'm trying this, it's a mess up. because it would have been a 5-minute conversation that you and I could have talked through and saved you a lot of heartache and hassle on the weekend. So please.
Thank you for the offer. I would have never, unless you said that, I would have never called you on the weekend.
Yeah.
And I literally, we went into, my customer was actually getting angry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, real estate it's a stressful process. There's a lot of money, multiple offers. So yeah. And, you know, part of our job as realtors is to kind of help manage that stress load. And when DocuSign just adds to it, it makes everyone edgy. So please, I'm always available.
Thank you very much.
Oh, Tim, you had asked a question earlier about printing out the documents so you could email that, or sorry, how you could email the documents to your clients without them having to sign them.
Okay,
And,
all right, so that specifically, I sent them I sent them the listing agreement.
Yep.
And at that point, she's like, well, I don't want to sign it yet. I want to print it out. I want to forward it to my husband or whatever. They wanted to print it and take their time and look at it in paper form. She couldn't do it. Then I ended up emailing it separately so that she could print it. And in the end, that caused confusion because they have email copies and DocuSign copies.
Yeah.
And so now please answer.
So what you did is correct. Like you could come here and you could select your documents and then you could come right up here and you could email them directly from DocuSign. That being said, I do not personally like the email functionality within DocuSign. So what I would recommend that you do is you just come to each one of the documents, open it up. So this is going to be my listing agreement. There's no signatures or anything on this because this is the form. And then up in the top right-hand corner, click on Document Actions, and then you can scroll down to Download and just download it on your computer. And then I would recommend from here, you can send an email with all the specific documents directly to your clients to say, here are the listing agreement forms attached as PDF. Please review them. Let me know what questions you have. Then when you're ready, I can send you a link through DocuSign so you can get started.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot better. I like the flow of your conversation better because I was just pounding them with, and it ended up being just one big mixed bag of documents.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do want to point out that before you're able to download a document from DocuSign, you have to click Save and Close at least one time. Now, the reason I was able to do that is because I've already saved this document. So you'd want to click on Save and Close and then reopen the document and then go to Document Actions and download. So that is just a weird thing with DocuSign that you have to do.
So I have one question. When you're working an offer, can you, and you have all these different files in DocuSign, and so you're loading, you know, the files back in all the exhibits. Can you, I thought I remember seeing you one time, you can reorganize them, because if you just click on it, it loads like by how they're in the system. But so it may be exhibit F, exhibit A, exhibit C, exhibit, you know what I'm saying? So how can't you when you put it in an envelope, put them in order, the correct order?
Yes. So there's two different ways. So I kind of interpret it as like asking two different questions. So asking how you can organize them in the Documents tab, and then how to organize them in the envelope for signature order.
The envelope is, yes, correct.
Okay. So what I would recommend, so when you're in the envelope, so let's just go ahead, let me just select all these documents. So I'm going to select this one, this one, this one, and I'll come down here. I'll add just all these different documents.
Right.
These are all the ones that I want to send in my envelope. So I'll come up here, click on Create Envelope. And we'll just give this a second to load. It's taking its sweet time. Now it's going to load all of these documents in alphabetical order. So the additional pages first. Here is where you can go through and reorder them in the signing order that you want, but you have to do it here at this part of the envelope. So to reorder them, just roll your mouse over the document so it's gray like this, click your mouse down, hold your mouse down, and then drag it into the position that you want.
So it's when you first add the documents to the envelope is when you reorganize them.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and now I will say this. So let's say we put them in the order that we want. I want this to be last. There's our counter offer. So this is the order that I want. Perfect. I'm going to click next, go through the normal process. Oh, sorry. It's going to make me add a recipient, pre-tagged roles, seller 1, Tony. All right. So now I'm going to go next. So it's going to load my documents. And let's say I'm going through, I'm in my exclusive seller listing agreement. I can see here's the order that I have them in: listing agreement, seller's property disclosure, community association disclosure, additional counteroffer, and additional page. I'm scrolling through here. I'm like, oh no, I see an error on this document that I can't fix in the envelope. I have to go back to that documents tab. So I could click back here. And then I can come up here and click save and close. I could come back into my documents. Where is my listing agreement? I'm going to make a change to this listing agreement. And we can just change, we'll do this. The end date of this is going to be 2/26. And then click save and close. I don't know why DocuSign is being slow today.
Command has been slow when I was working with some contacts earlier.
Very strange. So now I'm going to go back into my envelopes. I'm going to open my draft envelope that I just created. Now, all right, so it still has it in the correct order because this is unique, because in the past, if you ever click save and close on the folder up here, it would reorder them back into that alphabetical order. But it looks like today it's leaving them in the correct order. So here I'm just going to click next, and hopefully it keeps them there. Because that was a pain in the butt that a lot of people were getting frustrated with if they ever had to make an edit or an update to the document, that it would then reorder everything and they weren't able to fix. Oh, here we go. Now you can see over here on the right hand side, now we have our seller's property disclosure, community association, counteroffer, and then the seller's listing agreement is last. So it does reorder them here, and there's no way for me to go back and change it.
You can't change it at this point?
Nope, which is a pain in the butt. At the end of the day, not going to be the biggest deal. It's not ideal by any means. So that's why it is very important that you make sure that all of your documents are correct before you go ahead into the envelope stage. Because if you have to make edits, it reorganizes them. Now, that is how you organize your documents in a specific order in the envelope. I'm going to click save and close. I'm going to go back into the documents tab. We do have a couple of different options of how to organize our documents in the documents tab in each folder. It's going to default to name A to Z. I've changed mine to added, so it adds the newest document first. So anytime I upload a document or there's a new one that comes in, it'll be first here. But if you wanted to do from A to Z, what you could do, and let's say, all right, I have all these documents here and I want them to be in a specific order, I could click on I could open up the community association disclosure or the exclusive seller listing agreement, click on rename, and I can make this 1- exclusive seller listing agreement. And that's going to put that in the first position. Then I could come here to my seller's property disclosure. I could rename and make this 2-. And now it's going to put those in this correct order. So that is another way that you can get around the naming or the ordering automatically by name. So that way it'll be in the correct order that you want them to be in.
And every time you do that, so if you only do number 1, number 3, and number 7, it'll always put them in the numeric order 1, 3, 7.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any additional things you're interested in seeing this morning? Any questions I can answer that I haven't already or need additional clarification on?
That was a good review for today.
All right. Well, Diana, Tim, as you guys are working in DocuSign, please do not hesitate to give me a call. Diana, I know you and I have talked a handful of times, and Tim, I'm always happy to jump on the phone. I would listen on the weekends. I'm usually just watching television, trying to relax. So you're not going to be interrupting my day. Give me a call. I'd rather spend 5 minutes on the phone with you to work through it, and you can get on with your business, because that's going to be the best experience for your clients, rather than you spending an hour or two trying to figure something out that actually is nothing, and it's not your fault at all. It's DocuSign's error. So
Thank you very much, Nick. This is very helpful.
well, if anything else comes up, please send me a text, a call, email, and I have a great rest of your day.
Thank you too.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.